Welcome to episode 3 of No Filter with Gio. I'm your host, Giovanni Galarza, coming out from Los Angeles, California, where this whole weekend has been nothing but great sports, especially from the NBA playoffs, where I'm going to focus the most part of my topics this Sunday night. And I just want to start with Game 7 of Cavaliers versus Raptors, which just concluded, and the Cleveland Cavaliers have gone to the second round of the playoffs, and they defeated the Raptors in a pretty lopsided game. It wasn't even close. There was no real drama. The Cavaliers felt like they were in control in the second half. It was tied at halftime, but the biggest most impressive performance came from Jared Allen, who was the star of Game 7. He had 22 points, 19 rebounds. My goodness. Donovan Mitchell from the Cavs also had 22 points. James Harden, who historically chokes in the playoffs and struggles, had a great night. He had 18 points, 3 out of 9 field goals though, and he did have 6 rebounds. That helped. The Raptors, their stars were Scotty Barnes with 24 points and 9 rebounds, RJ Barrett with 23 points, 9 out of 26 field goals, which is, you can tell he was struggling. But it's let's be clear. The Raptors are a young team on the rise. They're going to be fine. They played this series mostly without Brandon Ingram, who was injured. Next year, the future looks bright if you're the Toronto Raptors. You got a young nucleus with Scotty Barnes, RJ Barrett, and Brandon Ingram. They're missing a few pieces. They need a big man. I think this summer they're going to probably acquire a big man and they're going to go for it. But the Raptors, the future looks bright. Don't be too down on yourself. Cavaliers, moving on to the second round, and you're going to play the winner of the next game I'm going to discuss, which is Pistons versus Magic. Again, another Game 7, but unfortunately there was no drama. Nothing of this game featured any drama. The Pistons looked like they were in control most of the game. Pistons overcame a 3-1 deficit to win this series, and good for them for being the number 1 seed and reclaiming that spot. Cade Cunningham had 32 points, 10 out of 18 field goals with 12 assists. Tobias Harris had 30 points, 11 out of 18 field goals with 9 rebounds. And for the Magic, Paolo Banchero, amazing performance. He put up 38 points out of 14 out of 25 shooting. Really, overall, it was a great fight for the Magic, who felt like they could win this series. They were up 3-1. Everyone was saying the Pistons are going to blow it. But you know what? Credit to the Detroit Pistons for showing everyone why they were the number 1 seed in the Eastern Conference. Credit to them for battling and winning out on home court in a very tough environment for the Magic. But you know what? We're going to get Cleveland and we're going to get Detroit in the next round, which is a good Midwest rivalry. So I'll go further into that later in the podcast. I do want to also talk about Sixers versus Celtics yesterday on Saturday night, Game 7. Another 3-1 deficit, which unfortunately, the Celtics just came on the short end of the stick on this, and I gotta give credit to the Philadelphia Sixers for proving all the naysayers wrong, including Joel Embiid, who had 32 points, 12 out of 26 field goals, and 12 rebounds. Tyrese Maxey, in the final minutes of that game, took over. He said, put the weight of this series on my shoulder, and he carried this team to victory. He was 11 out of 18 from shooting, shot 30 points and 11 rebounds. Tyrese Maxey won that game in the final minutes of Game 7 in Boston. Another person I want to give a shout out is rookie VJ Edgecombe, who had 23 points. Just, wow, what a revelation for the Sixers to land him at number 3 in the draft last year out of Baylor. And he literally just was the unsung hero of that team. Gotta give credit to the rookie. Congrats. And hope you have a great series on your next round. Looking ahead, let's look at the matchups. Now that we've had 3 Game 7s being concluded this weekend, we've got 76ers versus Knicks. You're going to have Brunson versus Maxey. You're going to have Joel Embiid versus Karl Anthony Towns. Great matchup, great drama for fans, great viewing for fans of the NBA worldwide. It's going to be a great matchup. Another series looking forward to, Timberwolves versus Spurs. Anthony Edwards is still out until possibly Game 3 or 4. So if you're the Timberwolves, just win one of these games in San Antonio to set the tone. Give yourself some length in the series. Don't feel bad if you're down 0-2 because you're possibly going to get your best player for game 3. It's still early, but if you're the Timberwolves, you just need those unsung heroes that have come along in the series. It could be anyone from Jaden McDaniels, Naz Reid, Terrence Shannon Jr., or even Ayo Dosunmu, who came out of nowhere in the last series against the Nuggets. So if you're the Timberwolves, you're playing with house money. You've got no pressure on you. You're playing an opponent in the San Antonio Spurs, who are a very young team. Wembanyama is only in his third year. The person with the most playoff experience for the Spurs is De'Aaron Fox, but he's been playing well, but literally most of the weight of the pressure of this series is on the Timberwolves because they have been to 2 straight Western Conference Finals. Can they get back to the Western Conference Finals and finally prevail? We're about to find out. Well, now it's time for me to talk about my favorite topic in LA right now, which is the Los Angeles Lakers. And shout out to the Lakers for getting past the Houston Rockets. I know the Rockets were without Kevin Durant. I know, I get it. But most experts did not pick the Lakers to get past to the second round. I've said this all year, even with a healthy Luka and a healthy Reeves, and the whole Lakers squad healthy, their ceiling was the second round of the playoffs. Because it was either going to be we're going to face OKC or the San Antonio Spurs, teams that we did not perform well against in the regular season. And unfortunately, we've got the defending champ OKC Thunder to face. We've got a lot of praying in LA right now that the Lakers could win at least one game. I think this series does not go past 5. I think the Thunder are going to dominate, and hopefully, we can dust ourselves off here in LA and pray that we have another strong offseason. I don't know if there's 1,000 questions of what ifs in this series. We don't know what's going to happen. We do know that the OKC Thunder are the favorites, of course, because they're the defending champs and they have more depth. We're about to find out. In the last series, and I touched upon this early, is Cavs versus Pistons. Wow. A good Midwest rivalry, good old-fashioned rivalry. I'm going to give the edge to the Cleveland Cavaliers due to their playoff experience because this is the first time Detroit is in the second round of the playoffs in a long time. However, Detroit is the number 1 seed in the playoffs in the Eastern Conference, and they showed enough grit to overcome a 3-1 deficit, so be careful, watch out. They could surprise you, and that matchup, I don't have a clear favorite. It can go either Cavs, it can go either Detroit. Detroit has home court advantage, so I'd give them the edge, and we'll see. All right, on top of the NBA, I do want to touch a few topics. Boxing, I do want to talk about David Benavidez defeating Gilberto Zordo Ramirez in a cruiserweight match for 2 titles for the WBA and WBO belt. Wow, what a performance by David Benavidez, who is the Mexican monster. What a performance. He knocked down Zurdo Ramirez twice in that fight. And in the 6th round, just hit him with an onslaught of flurries and combos. And Zurdo literally had to kneel down to take a minute to recover. And by the time he looked at the ref, he just said, I'm done. This is not my night. Impressive win by Benavidez. Now, what's the future? Of course, all us boxing fans want Benavidez versus Canelo, but that doesn't look like it's going to be a reality this year. Canelo's going to face a fighter in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia in September, so that's already for 168. Benavidez is at 200. He's also a champion at 175, so who knows? Maybe we can get a matchup between Dimitri Bivol and David Benavidez. Hey, at 175, that's a great match to make. That is a great fight. Sign me up. I am up for that. Before I finish sports, I do also want to talk about baseball a little. The Dodgers struggled this weekend. They won 1 game out of 3 in St. Louis. They're still in first place in the NL West by half a game. The Padres also lost twice this week and won only 1 game today against the White Sox. So it's a close race. A lot of baseball writers are predicting who is the best team. And a lot of teams a lot of the favorites right now outside of the Dodgers are the New York Yankees and the Atlanta Braves. So it's going to be a great season. It's only May. There's going to be a lot of good races to focus on, but Yankees, Dodgers, Braves, those three teams. Oh, and the Padres. To my Padre fans, no disrespect, I will say the Padres. Those four teams are the clear cut favorites to win the championship this year. Okay, another topic I do want to discuss besides sports is pop culture, TV, and film. I do want to touch upon the Michael Jackson biopic, Michael, which I just saw this week. It was phenomenal. If you're a fan of Michael Jackson, even if you loosely grew up with him like I did in the 90s, you're literally dancing this whole film. There's so many hits. And I forget, even when he was younger with the Jackson 5 in the 60s and 70s, how many hits they had. And it was very impressive. The film is just shy of 2 hours. Does a good job of capturing how he grew up, how his family, raised him in Gary, Indiana, and how they came from Gary and just skyrocketed into stardom and becoming a worldwide hit with everyone. And then boom, you from the Jackson 5, you go straight into Michael's debut solo album, Off the Wall. And then of course they cover Thriller, and then towards the end they cover Bad, which is kind of cool. It's a nice touch. I would highly recommend it. I know it's a little controversial because people are, there's a lot of claims of Michael Jackson doing some illegal stuff, and he's been accused of it, but they don't touch upon that. None of that timeline matches what actually happened in the 80s, where it ends. In the late 80s it ends. So if you like Michael Jackson music like I do and I grew up, highly recommend this film. It's a crowd pleaser. You'll be dancing in the theater. It's that entertaining. I will see Devil Wears Prada this week, so I'll have a review of that coming next week. It did phenomenally well at the box office. This week it's the number one movie in the box office, so we'll watch it later. I want to touch on TV right now. The Pitt recently ended, and it is, in my opinion, the best show on TV. I know there's a lot of good TV right now. There's a lot of competition, but The Pitt definitely is the best show. The way it ended, it was an open ending where you don't know where the lead character is going to go. He's going on a sabbatical. That's all you know. Is he going to return? Is he not? We'll find out when there's a season 3, which the good news, if you're a fan of The Pitt, season 3 has been renewed, and it's going to happen. There's rumors that it's going to take place in the winter in Pittsburgh, so that'll bring in some interesting plot lines and some interesting storylines for the next season. Another show we do want to talk about is Euphoria, which has all the buzz right now. It's clearly the most popular TV show right now. It's doing really well for HBO. We don't know if we're going to get a season 4 because most of that cast, including Zendaya, Jacob Elordi, and Sydney Sweeney, they're all stars now. They're superstars. They're not just stars. They became superstars because of that show. And it's going to be really hard to get all those big name actors into one short period of filming. So hopefully this isn't the last season of Euphoria, but so far this third season is a little messy, and it's kind of messy in a good way, though. There's a lot of good storylines happening that don't take place in the high school, which took, East Highland High, which is where the story took place the first 2 seasons. So there's a lot of growth. I do want to touch on a few other shows that I recommend you should watch. Currently watching Running Point on Netflix with my girlfriend, and it is an easy, light watch. It's based on the life of Jeannie Buss and her experience leading the Lakers front office, and it's loosely based on that. And the show it's a light watch. It's really good. It's a really fun cast, hilarious. There's a lot of cool moments. There's a lot of cool plot lines. Season 1 was really great. Season 2 has been great so far. Halfway into it, highly recommend it. Another show I do want to touch on, and I will talk about it next week, is Beef, which I will start this week because Beef season 1 was so good, and it won a bunch of awards. So it's the same team, different cast though, different storylines. It's the same team, so I have faith it's going to be great. And I do want to end my show on one show that hasn't been talked a lot on media, or doesn't get a lot of buzz, but Rooster on HBO. I'm about to watch episode 9 right now. It's been renewed for a new season, thank goodness. If you love lighthearted comedies, highly recommend it. It takes place in a liberal arts college in New England. Doesn't say specifically where, but It's fictionally called Ludlow College, and it's a great cast. It comes from the same team of people that did Ted Lasso and Shrinking, so it has a ton of heart. Highly recommended if you're looking for a new show to watch and enjoy it. Well, that was episode 3 of the No Filter with Gio podcast. I hope you enjoyed it. I did. I've been looking forward to this all week. Hoping to record again on either Thursday or Sunday of next Sunday. And thank you for tuning in and hoping to have more great content. Have a good evening and have a good week.